Who would have thought we'd finally be sitting at one of the long tables found inside Shield's Tavern, enjoying a meal together? And unlike a typical tavern experience in Colonial Williamsburg, on this unforeseen visit, we were granted access to not only feast, but also to roam. Allow me to explain how things unfolded. It was later in the afternoon this past December, and like many times before, we passed by the tavern as we walked down Duke of Gloucester. Not expecting it to be open, which has been the case for quite some time now. From a distance, we spotted some signage sitting near the tavern's rear entrance gate.
Shield's Pavilion Concessions. Smoked turkey leg, hamburger or cheeseburger, hot dog.
We could grab something real quick and find a bench to eat at somewhere.
Knowing we needed fuel for an evening of festivities in the city, and delighted to be able to purchase food from the tavern's limited menu, we had no idea at this point the extent of the experience we were about to stumble upon.
See what this Shield's Tavern turkey leg is all about.
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you?
Good, thanks. What can I get for you?
Can we do one turkey leg, one cheeseburger, and then one Sprite?
After Sarah placed our order, we snagged our soda can, asked for a sneak peek of one of the prized turkey legs, and retrieved our tavern cheeseburger, all wrapped up and ready to be devoured.
Oh, okay, the turkey leg's still cooking. Great, about 5 minutes? Perfect, thank you.
So we just hang out here until...
At this point, I remember thinking, did I hear her right? Did she just say we could eat inside Shield's Tavern? Before we went inside, there was some work to be done. If this was going to be our first experience inside Shield's Tavern, while our turkey leg was still smoking, we would need to dress up our burger in a manner fit for the sudden occasion. Sarah cleverly nabbed 4 perfectly sliced tomatoes, a fair amount of leafy green lettuce, and enough rings of red onion to make us both shed a tear.
All right, this is a surprise. We actually get to eat inside Shield's Tavern unexpectedly and await our turkey leg that's still smoking.
And after many years of wondering what the interior of the restored Shield's Tavern looked like, we finally stepped onto its rear porch area and crossed over the door's threshold.
First time ever inside Shield's Tavern.
Until now, we'd only been familiar with the building's outside perspective. It was surreal to suddenly be inside. As I passed by the room's looking glass, I thought about the tavern's vast history. When a French Huguenot immigrant named Jean Merritt arrived in town in the early 18th century, he purchased a piece of property owned by James Shields and converted the building into a bustling tavern. Back then, the place was probably known as Merritt's Ordinary. As the father of the city's restoration, Dr. Goodwin reminded others, the tavern was a well-furnished, well-run, and well-frequented establishment. Attuned to my surroundings, I paid little attention to my growling stomach, realizing that we were inside of Shields with absolutely no one else around. Amazed at my situation, I pressed deeper into the eastern half of the property before I would sit down for a late afternoon lunch with Sarah.
That is a massive front door. I've never realized that, how big it is.
think it's an original door, but the hinges and door hardware definitely look like they have some age on them. From within the room I was in, there was a staircase that led down to the cellar. I figured I would take a quick peek.
Got plenty of dining space. Definitely a surprise being inside here. Got a bar area here.
I began to realize this place was huge. I had absolutely no idea.
And even more seating.
The soft glow of the candlelit walls and the chandeliers added a rustic feel as I moved through the undercroft to Shields Tavern. Barrel-bottom bar tops, a huge hearth,
Look at this.
red brick floors, and the white brick walls inside the wine cellar made for an ever-enchanting space.
That must be the kitchen area back there. Head back upstairs and find Sarah. This unexpected lunch.
There was one final room at the easternmost part of the tavern I wanted to quickly get a glimpse of before eating. Shields definitely had plenty of space and seating for hungry and thirsty patrons. By this point, I knew Sarah was one of them. Walking back through the building's eastern rooms, I imagined what the atmosphere would have been like, dining in a tavern like this centuries ago.
So they only had a few options on the menu that we ran into outside. We had no idea we were actually going to be able to eat inside Shields, so this definitely came as a surprise. But the cheeseburger is rather big and very delicious, and the turkey leg, as you can see, is quite the enormous turkey leg. What do you think?
A great way to experience eating inside Shields Tavern for the first time, sharing a savory smoked turkey leg and a satisfying grilled cheeseburger. And although it wasn't Miss Shields' Dutch oven chicken cassoulet or a freshly baked ale-potted beef pie, we were still content. If you know anything about me, you know I love the show Turn, Washington Spies. It just so turned out that we dined inside the very room where a sinister scene with Lieutenant Colonel Simcoe was filmed. The Shields Tavern signage is shown at the start of the sequence, then cutting to Simcoe sharpening his serrated blade. He gives two of the Queen's Rangers serving under him some hair-raising advice on warfare.
Do you know why I favor a serrated blade? There's a trick I learned from the Abyssinians on James Bruce's expedition to Gondar. Stab the bayonet, twist the blade.
I'll leave his last bit of overly descriptive instruction muted for the sake of Sarah. She's not too fond of the details. In the scene, when the Queen's Rangers enter the tavern, you can clearly identify the doorway with window pane above, the chandelier, and a portion of the framed pictures on the wall that are found inside this room's entryway. After we ate, I took a closer look at the area around us, wondering who the figures in the portraits were. I was also drawn to the room's entrance door, which kept a skeleton key left lodged in the old colonial-style rimlock. The bar area on the other side of the room had my mind crafting scenes from when the tavern was packed full of lesser gentry folk, and more so, the weathered traveler looking for a local watering hole. I envisioned seasoned sailors telling of their wild escapades out on the high seas, drinking from tall ceramic mugs poured full of ale by James Shields himself, singing old sea shanties while patrons stomped their feet and sung along. My imagination ran free. Now in the westernmost room of the property, some empty Madeira bottles and two long communal tables lay parallel to one another. I stepped in for a closer look at the carefully arranged December wreath hanging from the wall. A vivid view of the Union Jack blowing in the wind atop the Capitol could be seen through the room's window, completing my journey throughout the main floor of the tavern. With the staircase lying directly in front of me, I just couldn't resist.
More dining space. Shields Tavern is definitely a large tavern.
More tables, another looking glass, and a view of the Duke of Gloucester Street from the second story. This public alehouse continued to amaze me. Entering into the next upstairs room, I noticed a fresh stack of wood set in the fireplace. I wondered which rooms up here might be the area where James and Anne Shields, along with their children, resided at, as it's well known that tavern keepers back then and their families often lived and worked on site.
Even another room in here, all the way at the back.
The sheer size of the reconstructed tavern continued to impress me with each room I came to, making it easy for me to visualize why a place of this magnitude would have been a welcoming haven for weary 18th century travelers who required a warm meal, a cold drink, and comfortable lodging.
And just when you thought you've seen them all, one more room. This has been a great surprise being inside Shields Tavern. After many years walking by it, it was closed for so many years. It just so happens a surprise lunch has turned into an interior tour of what I believe is the entire Shields Tavern.
As I descended down the staircase towards the rear doorway, I was thrilled to have taken in an experience like this. An unplanned exploration that effortlessly fell before me, and granted free rein to wander without constraints. With each step I took, I was reminded of an inspiring quote that said, "When I arrive to a new place, it is no longer the place that it was before my arrival. And I am not the same person either. I change it, and it changes me on the spot. And together we give the world a slightly different face."